can get started. Forum, certainly. All the folks present.
I think this puts Ian.
Yeah, and Ann, you're a voting member tonight.
Okay.
Okay. Ken is out of town. Thought he might be able to zoom in, but obviously not. He's actually on the West Coast, so.
And Gary's on the West Coast.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's time of year.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah.
It is 50 years.
Right. Yeah, just as far as the membership, Ken did connect with Jenny Stewart. She's not interested in continuing. Her term runs out this month anyways. So we may have a new person soon. We'll see. And we haven't heard from John yet.
No, I think we'll have to.
See. Everybody get a look at the minutes? Last minute?
Yeah.
Anything to say about that? Okay, we're gonna approve them as submitted. Treasurer's report.
As of the end of the month, we had earned an additional $1,492.06 in interest to bring the balance to $551,268.17.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, exact amount. Of course,
I know. Yeah, I mailed it to you earlier.
Got it. Okay, good. We have some new business. It's a small item, also more of a treasurer's business.
Well, it's actually three of them.
Yeah, there was a request for funds for some sign or several signs. What's the current status?
I guess I'm gonna make three motions here for expenditures. I'll work my way up in dollar value. That's a pain.
Yeah.
So I'm looking, I gotta get the information from John and Ted, but we've got a new big tree champion for the county. And it's $20 to get the sign that signifies that. And we're still very active in the big tree program here in Barrington.
Yeah.
So I'd like to put forth a motion that we fund a big tree sign for $20.
Okay. In a second.
I think that's the one on my property.
What's the what kind of tree?
It's a pine.
Oh, no.
It's not.
No, it's the
It's a really-
witch hazel.
Yeah, it's a not very common tree.
Yeah, I remember talking.
And it's not very big, but as trees goes,
Okay.
but it has a witch hazel. It's
Yeah.
Mine is a pitch pine.
Right.
I think he asked me if I wanted to pay for it. I said, sure.
Our property, we haven't registered it.
Oh,
By cherry.
Black chair.
Really?
Yeah.
How big is it?
It's like 36 or more on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if the trees are found in areas where we've got hiking trails, we try to bring attention to the program. That's
So there's supposedly another pitch pine ties with yours on
Oh, really?
on the Barrington Trail by the Schultz. And-
Those trees do not look healthy
No.
in general. I
Yeah.
always think, well, how long is it gonna be around for? But
Right. Yeah, and I'm not sure. I've tried looking for this one. I haven't. They look a lot like pines when they're growing among pines. There's a lot of white pine. So I don't know which one it is. And it's
They
still
don't look
there.
as healthy as the one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Generally.
in interest of time, we got
Yeah.
a motion for $20
Right.
for the big tree sign.
Okay. Can we get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And second item, we need to put some signs out on our trails, not cells, to get people to pick up their animal waste. So we had some legal looking, not humorous, pick up your stuff signs made up. Like to make a motion to not exceed $275 for animal waste signs.
And where would they be going?
Kiosks or posts on at the trailheads of our trails.
What are they gonna say?
Man, I should get a picture somewhere, but it's basically, please pick up your animal waste. little picture of the dog.
Sorry.
We kind of borrowed the same artwork from, they got our logo on it.
Yeah.
We copied some that the UNH uses.
Yeah.
We were thinking of going funny, and then we decided we don't need the hassle.
What
so
I
we
see
did
is
it.
that people always leave the back.
Yeah,
Right, yeah. Sure, yeah. I mean, you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
And the last item is we got the invoice for our New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commission dues. It's $525. And we pay our dues every year, and they try to keep us in the loop of what's coming at us from Concord. Make a motion that we authorize the payment of our NHA CCC dues for $525.
I'll second that.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. We don't usually have this many votes, but anytime any money gets spent, we have to.
I'm voting, them, that's why I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just visiting from.
But I guess
Well, just
No, I'm not.
if you're considering joining us, what happens is it'll be in the highlights in the minutes. She'll highlight it in yellow. I take a copy with another piece of paper, a form I got to fill out along with the invoices, and I submit them to somebody in the town. They pay.
Oh, I see.
Direct.
Oh,
Because we can't cut checks ourselves.
Mhm. So do you submit something to the, does it has to be approved by somebody?
Well, they'll approve it a lot, but they basically approved it. I give them all the paperwork. Like I said, there's a form that I've got on my computer, basically a request for a check. Her minutes, once they're approved, so I can't really move this thing for another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And whatever the invoice is, like one of these is reimbursing Ted, because he's the one that bought the animal waste signs.
Mhm.
But that's how we do it, because if we told vendors that please wait for the town to pay you,
Yeah.
they'd all say, see you later.
Okay, so you're,
Yeah.
you'll take care of that. So,
Yep.
Yeah. Just while we're on,
I mean,
signs,
it's the new guy. I mean, you explained why it wasn't normal.
just while we're talking about signs, I recall that we didn't resolve anything about the turtle crossing signs. And, the one on Scoot Pond Road that was missing last fall, somebody removed the pole that it was on, so there's no evidence whatsoever. And I just saw a program they did on, online, the Association of Conservation Commissions about turtle crossings, actually. And their feature picture at the end of it was that sign on Scoot Pond Road.
It's no longer there.
I didn't want to let them know that it no longer exists.
Oh, well.
And the Public Works, they didn't have any
No,
idea.
no.
Yeah,
It's gone as far as I know.
yeah.
If you, at the end of the meeting, if I can find it, I know we looked before, I can tell you what it would cost. The problem is I can't tell you really what it's gonna cost to put a post in the ground.
Well, I would assume that
The town did that,
town,
wasn't it?
highway people.
The one on Young Road's still there, but the
Well,
town,
one
put
of
them-
them is,
Yeah.
the other isn't.
the town put them on.
Yeah,
How many signs do we need?
three, yeah, two
Two
on.
on Young and.
Yeah, one on ours, so three.
You say
Unless we can
ours.
think of some other place that really needs one.
When you say ours, you mean Scoop Pond.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll look it up. while
yeah,
we're meeting.
it just seems like this is the time of year, obviously, if they ought to go up, or I don't know when the turtles really get going,
Well,
but
they're probably confused and they're moving out early with the.
that could be, yeah. All right, well, that'd be good, just to follow up
Have
with that.
we ever considered generally checking on, the kiosks and perhaps the lack of kiosks and the signage in them? Because I know
Yeah.
there's stuff missing. For example, in Goodwill, there's nothing that says you not to use motorized vehicles.
Mhm.
All right, I can fill you in what the Trails Committee's doing. We've had a program we're working on over here, making up these placards. It's got the name of the trail, a QR code to get to the map for the trail. And then we've got these two bars, one sort of in green and one in red, green saying yes. And then we got symbols up showing fishing, hiking, whatever. And under the red, we got things like ATVs or whatever, motorcycles. And we just got to let them off as being right against what John Wallace knows as the limits on each of the properties, and then print them and laminate them. We're also this spring Charlie just told us Tuesday night, go out, take a look at each of the kiosks, take a picture, send it, but also record what's weak, like is the map out of date or is it been leaking, stuff like that. Eventually, we're probably going to come back and ask if you could help us with like some laminating costs. We think Barbara can print up the large format maps for us, but laminating would probably be a trip to Staples.
Are these
So
all
we are
to
going
go in kiosks?
Kiosks mostly, unless we got, trying to think of,
Because lamination won't last. If it's
well, some of them have plexiglass on.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, those will work. Yeah, regular indoor lamination just sitting on a bulletin board, you're right, won't last.
Yeah.
But the ones that need to be updated, we can, we're going to try to get out there.
Okay, well, that's, so the Trails Committee is looking at that.
They were 2 days ahead of you.
Just because it's related, the TIF district passing, there's conversation at one point about having a sign somewhere in the district that has a map for the entire town showing where all the different trails are. I don't know if that was something the Conservation Commission Trails Committee suggested or.
Well, there is one that we've used now, but it's out of date because of all the areas that are added. Part of the problem is it's not all of them were ours. Like, we're still getting feedback like Zelda's probably does not want to open up the turtle preserve to hiking. They just soon.
Even though they
leave that.
put up a kiosk and, I mean, it's.
Well, that's part of the Barrington Trail. When you go in and you
Right,
walk
right,
into the
right.
right, that's where
Does
that's
that
where the
mean-
herons' nests and the stuff.
Yeah.
Does that mean that they don't indicate it as conserved land?
No, it'll be
Okay.
conserved, but it's not hiking. So we probably have to decide, do we put up land that's conserved or we just put up land that's got public access for hiking?
Yeah,
Because that's not the same.
right.
Like, you can't go on to Stephen Jeffrey's land without his permission.
Well, didn't, we had it in
But it's conserved land.
two different tones of green, I think, and the previous map showed public lands and then it showed
Yeah.
not open to the public, but still conserved,
My property has never been shown as conserved anywhere,
Really?
including the trail that.
Yeah, well, again, that, the map
Hasn't
we have
updated
is like
yet.
10 years
Yeah,
old,
okay.
and it, obviously.
Well, this includes Seltz maps,
Yeah.
including the ones they gave us today.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's certainly a lot of updates to be made.
I don't know how to, maybe find out through that GIS thing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest. Yeah, I mean, that's like the basic. I guess we had these fancy ones that folded down, folded up, they had a hinge on them. I don't know if that was
For small storage or?
it was just to put them up when it's out of season.
Yeah, I think you just put the top down when winter came,
Oh.
and then in spring you put.
Do
the
we
top up.
think that someone stole them?
It appears that
I think
way. I
that-
mean,
I think so.
unless public
Can
works
maybe
deciding.
put up with, do they put them up with locking fasteners?
Think so. I mean,
We should ask that they do, because I'm
Yeah,
not going to
I
stop
would hope
anyone
they
who's
do.
serious.
Yeah, I'll have to look around because I got choices of different size diamonds for the turtle crossing signs, but not one of them is a foldable one.
yeah, I don't know how we
That could be
ended
something
up with
else.
those. I'm sure it wasn't custom made or.
Well, someone told me that maybe some of the signs might have been custom made by the same people who make our license plates.
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah, someone intimated to me, I saw who to contact. We're a small state, but there's still a lot of people in Concord and I would
Yeah.
call.
I mean, I didn't think it was really necessary. It's just one more thing that somebody has to go do.
Yeah, you can leave it.
It's not that many months that they're not
Right.
used.
Yeah,
Right.
this site is not offering. Let me see if I can search on.
Well, we can,
Well, but let's just decide not to use multiple one anyway.
Yeah, yeah, I think that it's simple enough. Let's see, speaking of salt.
You want to go to that?
Yeah,
one
if you could
first?
pull up,
Okay.
you might have seen, if you get the Cell newsletter, they announced that they closed on these lands that they've been discussing with the Bedford estate, Bedford family. We'd heard about it for some time. The one you see there in red, no, I'm sorry, that one in red. I wrote a letter in support of, they got money from the state. I think it's the Drinking Water and Groundwater Fund for it. And it is, the reason for that is it's on the Malago Brook, flowing into the Bellamy Reservoir. So it's certainly the watershed for the drinking water. So there are really two large sites and then one really tiny one.
Is this the really tiny one?
Yeah, that yellow one there,
So-
they didn't really mark it separately, but it's so small, it's only like 4 acres. But it adds on to Stonehouse Forest, of course, right on Swain Road there. And so the others, yeah, the other two are, landlocked. They're not planning to develop them or anything, but they're, and they're mostly wetlands, so it's good to be conserved. And so this one is quite interesting. If you see the Spruce Brook, Stonehouse Brook, that's Coot Farm, basically. That outlines between that and the Leighton Forest.
So this is the area that's being developed, I assume?
Right. Although the northern half of it, or 3/4 of it, is supposed to be
Right.
conserved in any
That's
case.
here.
But that chunk there, the Bedford land was an important addition because obviously it splits the wetland there, the waterway. And, it wouldn't make sense to conserve one side and have the other side not. But again, it's landlocked. It's been just sitting there.
How many total acres was it? 'Cause it didn't say on the.
Yeah, it was about 160, 158, something like that. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, somebody else actually, chair of the select board, Joyce asked about that.
Yeah. Last month they announced the O'Connell property as well, which was not on our radar. Do you know how big that was?
No, that one I didn't find out about. I was thinking of seeing if,
Yeah,
Ryan would come in, give us an overview.
It is on the bottom of Long Pond. It goes down to where the water goes out of the dam and goes into.
Yeah, we could probably guess based on if it's the whole lot there,
But
but I don't know if it's worth.
I lost track of what you were saying, but Rob, if you wanted to know the area of each parcel, it's in their email here.
Okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't mention Connell. I looked that up too.
Is the O'Connell one gonna be open to the public?
Talking to
Yeah,
Dwayne, no.
Yeah, or at least not anytime soon. And I don't know how accessible, if it's even on. I mean, I guess it's on the Isinglass River, some portion of it. But it's not clear.
Yeah, I forget the name of the town that goes in there. If you're driving along Parker Mountain.
Yeah, it's French Mill,
Something like, yeah.
French Mill Road, if you know where that is off of 126. Yeah, it's probably about 100 acres or somewhere in that ballpark. I think it's pretty substantial, but.
So
Yeah,
since you're going up 126,
Yeah.
how far up is it?
Pretty close to the town line, where that is, but, right, it's just east of.
Yeah, I think it's before you get to where there's a cutoff to Sloper.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so hopefully someday maybe we can get a tour or something. We'll see. Selt is, they're willing, but they are Selt properties you asked about. We have no responsibilities to.
For monitoring, they
Monitoring.
monitor the properties they
Yeah,
own?
no, yeah. We're usually invited to come along, but it's their business. They have,
Yeah,
depending on who funded it and whatever it's my understanding generally, unless there's some cooperative deal.
I thought that was disallowed because of conflict of interest concerns, but
Yeah, it depends how the easement was arranged, and I, again, didn't get any specifics on this. But I'm assuming that they hold the easement, or, in some cases like Landry, they hold the easement, but we have the executory, so,
right,
we have obviously some responsibility, but we still don't have to do the monitoring.
that's
so,
right, yeah.
Right, so,
Only in the absence of them doing
yeah.
concern.
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
that's as much as I know at this point. Again, we can see if we can get somebody in.
We don't need to take on the responsibility if we don't have to.
No, we've got plenty of other ones. Yeah. And I have one other new business item that actually is a result of the election. I got a message just yesterday from Connor that they need approval on the park purchase, the open space, the TIF district. So if you have that map, I mean, you've probably all seen the design they came up with, and it's not necessarily approving a park, but it's approving town purchase of that land for some kind of open space. Right? So they want to get our And they need to have our sign off on it, I guess, as a town lands.
I'm not sure exactly what that means, but
Yeah, if you've been back there, it's mostly big open field with some woods. There's actually more woods in the southern half of it than field. But it's pretty flat. There's a wetland just below it. You can see it's hard to see on the map, but on that lower border there. But otherwise it's pretty straightforward. Are folks amenable to, I'll just say we don't have any issues with it.
yeah.
But I thought I'd say we strongly support the purchase of the land
Glad the town got it.
for open space. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they'll bring a lot of different people together to, all right, what are we gonna do with the space? And the trails / conservation would have a voice there.
Right.
I can see us maybe a flat trail just for walking or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, well, I don't know, do you know who came up with that design? I mean, they must have sent it to somebody to,
Yeah, it's just conceptual.
yeah.
Just, getting ideas out there, whether it be
Yeah.
picnic tables, basketball court, who knows what it would be.
Yeah, just think twice about pickleball. Every time puts it in, somebody pitches.
Well, it's not near anybody's house, it's residential.
There'll be somebody in Roman Joe's that'll complain about it.
Probably, yeah.
There was an article in, I think, Foster's today about some community around here that spent a lot of money on, I think they said Portsmouth that spent like $400,000 in putting in pickleball courts, and everybody that's around them now was pissed.
Yeah.
And so now they
There's
have
a
this,
lot of pickleball players.
well, that and
Right out
it's
west.
the one thing that sports is not perfect for is people that can hear.
Well, as a former Portsmouth resident, I know they complain about it. They complained about the library, They didn't want it in their neighborhood, which seems absurd, but
All the things that could have landed in the neighborhood in the city, a library is a thing.
wow. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so, and I believe there was some kind of a design for some kind of trail, walking trail. And of course, part of the idea is to connect it to other things. I don't know if I mentioned everybody, I did scope out a route to the new library, now that we have it, right?
That would be a
And,
nice little thing to have.
if you can scroll up there, that the entranceway, I guess that is a driveway, the part that goes up to Route 9. Basically, you just cross the street there. Well, a little jog to the right is the right of way for the old railroad.
Right.
And if you just continue up there, and there's actually a little bridge that goes over the creek. So somebody built this 100 years ago, probably, but it goes right into the parking lot of the library. So, I think Trails Committee could easily set that up in no time, assuming, whenever we get the library ready to go. But it just seemed to me that's kind of an obvious, nice thing to be able to walk.
Do you know what the schedule on that might be? Is there anything projected for how long the renovations are gonna take?
The library building committee is gonna meet very quickly, in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. But it will be 6 months or something.
Yeah.
right?
They said, I think they should,
At least.
I thought it said like, it was gonna be in 2025.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not nothing urgent.
Yeah.
Remember, all schedules can be waylaid after you swing the first hammer and you find something.
Right. Yeah. A lot of work.
Hopefully that being a medical building, that they kept up with the pest control.
Yeah.
This parcel also connects to the elementary school too.
Right. Right.
So those, the people like that.
Yeah, on the lower end.
For trails and access.
Yeah, so certainly for bicycling, and hopefully someday there'll be a crosswalk across Route 9 maybe. Yeah, so that obviously would-
First crosswalk in town.
Yes. Yeah, and then next will be sidewalks. Oh my God. Yeah, so that's good. Anyway, all right, so I'll write a little note up to them to say all that. And did you have any comments or questions?
All of this is very exciting. For me.
Good.
That was one of my questions was when that's been asked of me is when is the library, the construction going to start changing over the emergent care building to the library? So soon is the answer.
Well, starting it soon, but it'll be a while.
Well, yeah, because I think the date where they go for the bond is somewhere in June.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
on how much money they've got they need the bond, I think, to actually buy it. It would be nice if the realtor would take the sign down and, you know,
Yeah.
they already put up a thank you sign.
Yeah, I saw that.
I know that June is the date when they're basically gonna also add up all the money that they've got and say, this is how much we can take off the price of the project.
Yeah.
Speaking of price, I can get us 3 24-inch diamonds with the big turtle and the little turtle saying turtle crossing. And I could do it for under $200. It should be about under 175, but I haven't gone through the whole shopping cart thing. I got the shipping estimate, but I don't know, there might be another fee in there.
Do we want to go ahead and approve that now and throw it in with the other signs? And
Well, it's a different place.
yeah, I know, but I mean, as far as getting a
I'll
check
just-
for whatever
it's yeah.
you paid for.
No, it'll be a separate check.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm just saying,
It'll be on the same.
same account, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I make a motion that we buy 3 turtle crossing signs.
I'll second that. Do we also have to buy the poles or does the town?
I wouldn't think so, but you know, they must have extra bowls that.
Like I said, at least one is still up on. But I like your suggestion, Paul, about putting them up so they can't be, because the others, I know I took one down because I said I would in the fall, so they need, I'm thinking, do we want to spend this money and have someone take them again? What can you do? But
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's a way to secure
We
them.
can also wait, maybe ask the town, are you gonna replace the pole that's missing? Or because if we might need to, they tell us we need a pole.
I wouldn't think.
Because I
so.
remember at a town meeting once, Steve Diamond wanted to put up some signs about a bike path in town.
Yeah.
And they told him, you're gonna have to buy everything. I don't know if they
Yeah.
consider this turtle crossing our turtles. For the town's turtles, but
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking, considering it was previously done and. obviously
yeah,
people.
but our who originally paid for.
Yeah.
well, I mean, the select board can say no.
Well, here's the worst case. We got 3 turtle signs and we're gonna have to scrape up some more money to get them installed. The deal was, I went fast because the turtles are gonna be coming out soon.
Right.
If they're not already.
Yeah.
I mean, I see my share of possum already this week.
Yeah. Well, I'd be willing to approach the road agent and see
How
what
much was it? Jim?
the deal is.
I'm gonna say not to exceed 200. And that was the motion.
That was seconded.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Yeah,
Aye. Aye.
so hopefully we'll get to check those turtles soon. You don't have a sense of how soon they would deliver them or.
Expected ship date would be tomorrow if I was to buy them right now, it says.
If, then you get reimbursed or something.
Oh, yeah, well, I haven't got to the part where I put my credit card in.
Right.
I was gonna do that some other time.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we might, I mean, obviously sooner. So let me know when you get them or I'll see if I can find out the deal with. But I gotta figure they must have extra poles sitting around for. Seems like something the town must do pretty regularly.
Yeah, maybe the best bet is we provide it to Mark and say, we noticed that the signs are not up here, the replacements. And maybe he'll take it upon himself to replace the poles that are missing.
Mhm.
Because it seems like we must have had 4 poles at one time. Right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you know, I think they probably, the pole probably got knocked over
Yeah.
by the plow or, you know, some road work was getting done. Cause I don't know why, you know, I can see why somebody'd steal the sign, but.
Not the purpose.
Yeah.
Pole.
It's in the dorm room somewhere.
And I'm sure once it got knocked down, the highway people figured might as well.
Oh, yeah.
So they may have the pole, just don't have a sign to put on it, so. All right, we'll find out.
I can follow the road.
Yeah, I guess that might be easier. You know when you're gonna get them and stuff.
Well, I'll be spending less time at the transfer station now than the library's been.
Right. Okay, great, appreciate that. So let us know. Find out.
Yeah, one other thing too, someone found an error on our website. It still said that our meetings, it said this meeting was on Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
So
and
I-
it said the ECLC or, I mean, last night.
Yeah, I think it was the trail that said ECLC or something, but I fixed both of them today.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah, I was wondering, I noticed. bit out of date, so. Okay, let's move on to the planning board case. It's,
This is,
yeah.
are we not allowed to look at maps of Nottingham or something?
I guess, yeah, so the wide line on the bottom of the triangle is the town line with Nottingham. And the access they're looking for is actually
Access
from
to these two
Nottingham.
lots, yeah.
And I went on, just Googled the maps and they don't even have that road on the map.
No, I know.
Well, it said, if you look, it says, under construction.
Yeah,
So it usually doesn't make Google
Okay.
Maps until the road's accepted.
sure, yeah.
And that's usually
Yeah.
the acceptance activities by the town. And usually it's the post office that has to recognize it as a road.
Yeah,
So I went through this in Massachusetts, and until the post office says you're real, you don't show up on any of the maps.
sure, yeah, and they take their time anyway, it seems.
But we
Roads
don't,
are-
we don't really know where this is going to, somewhere this is going to pop out onto Route 4, but, and it's apparently off of these properties, but we don't know where.
The ones on that side? Well, that road eventually, it's Mitchell Road, I think, is the existing road. It eventually comes out, it's in Nottingham,
below,
it's not,
Yeah.
our thing. So the deal is they want to split it into 3 separate lots. And, it's like 12 acres or 20 acres, something like that. And there's a lot of wetlands, obviously that whole big middle spot there is wetlands. But there seems to be just enough room on either side of the wetlands to stick 2 houses on the east side there. And then some commercial property yet to be designed, in that one. And there's actually already kind of a curb cut. When I looked on Google on the satellite photo, it actually shows the driveway already there. So, and it's between 2 wetlands. Can you, if you can point to where it is, it's where that dark area they point, basically right across from Warren Road.
Yeah.
There's a little narrow, I'm sorry, just a little bit below Warren, but,
This one here?
yeah, evidently there's enough land in there to do something with. And like I said, it's already a driveway and, anyway, that's the plan, so.
I got a map here, it calls out Mitchell, and it looks like someone already built there's a handful of little cul-de-sacs already
Right.
off there.
Right.
So
Off that
the
road.
variance
There's
that
no
they had to
one
get
Yeah,
is for, these are gonna be developed as backlots apparently, and I
Yeah.
guess the ordinance says that a backlot, the driveway has to come out on the road that it has frontage to, which is Route 4.
well, no, and the ones they're looking for backlots are the other 2.
Yeah, but
Oh, is that?
no, the
Yeah,
law,
so they're
the
not-
law states what he stated they want, that's what the waiver's for. To say, can you let us come in the back way, because we would have to go over a whole crap load of wetlands.
I see. So this is the this is
Well,
what they're
yeah.
asking for
Well,
the
yeah.
waiver for, to get,
Right,
for that to be the access.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, you've got existing lots there and somehow they worked a deal with Nottingham or whoever owns that land to create a new access from the south, right?
Right.
So I believe that's the variance. The other one they had, I had to go way back in the report. It's to, when they do the lot line, this new line, if you scroll over to that line going, I see it's right through the middle of the wetlands. They don't want to have to go out in the middle of the wetlands, pick
Yeah.
a pin there. So I believe that's what they need a waiver for.
Yeah, and they
So-
claim that they are avoiding all, wetland and buffer
Yeah.
impingement, so.
Yeah. It does seem, they aren't asking for any waiver
Right.
there. So it seems to fit there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what land they have that's off of that driveway there, but evidently it's enough for something.
This,
Yeah,
I think it was gonna be a commercial site.
yeah, that's what they indicated. But it's just not clear how many acres is there.
Yeah.
But
I assume they're doing the flip side of this process with Nottingham too, because hi, we're Barrington
Right.
property, but we want access
Right,
from
yeah.
you, which means we're probably gonna need you for fire
yeah,
and police.
well, that's Nottingham's
Yeah.
problem. So does anybody have any other questions, comments? Seems good enough.
Yeah, I didn't see any
Yes.
problem. with
I'm
that.
sure we'll get a new design when we
Yeah,
do anything.
but this is why you need waivers to bend one law to cover something that's more important, like ruining a whole bunch of wetlands.
Right. And did you have any questions or comments on it? You look
No.
at the, okay,
So does
Sounds
Nottingham,
good.
if it's access from Nottingham?
what, as far as the waiver or?
No, fire response,
Oh.
things like those kind of questions.
That's what
Just a
Jeff
curious.
said. So
Yeah,
I'll
I
assume
think
all
so.
else.
Well, at first they gotta change the road.
Yeah, I mean, there's no.
Now, as far as who covers it, I don't know.
Well, I would think it would have to be.
I would think it would.
There's no way, I don't know. I mean,
But does it Nottingham like Bill Barrington back? I mean, I just.
Yeah, I don't know. Sure.
I have a small bit of input on
Yeah.
that. Just,
Oh.
I happen to live just very close to there.
Oh,
And I
okay.
phoned up, because there's a commercial property behind mine, I phoned up the Barrington fire chief and asked him about if he knew anything about the commercial enterprise and what they did back there. And he didn't have very much input for me, but he said, we wouldn't handle you anyway. You would get Lee come take care of you. So
Oh, really?
yeah, because I'm in like the little where Barrington stands with down.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that could be. I mean, since it's
Yeah.
quite close, it could be Lee as well.
Mhm.
He didn't.
Right,
He
right.
said it kind of matter of factly. It just doesn't matter of like geographic proximity.
Yeah, yeah, they must work out some arrangement based on the travel
Yeah,
time.
the call center must just have a map,
Yeah.
they plug in the address and goes to the right station.
Well, anyway, so we're good.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
That commercial lot
Yeah,
comes out on Route 4, correct?
Yeah,
yeah. that
Can you
drive-
just see how close that is to Mitchell, where Mitchell Road comes out? And
well,
where it crosses with
you
Hall?
still have the map there. It's not very far down.
Oh, that's my,
Well, I'm not showing this lot. All I remember is the Warren Road is right across the
Do you
street.
see Mitchell Road? Yeah.
Yeah, I can see Mitchell, and I remember looking on one of the maps there, it shows where
because- and I
Warren.
know
Road
this
is.
isn't our concern and the state would, but that's a bad corner there.
Where
That's a
Mitchell
really,
is in?
Mitchell Hall and
Yeah.
Route 4,
Mhm.
there's gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a really bad people turning out from Hall Road, going left, and then someone's coming. And it just
Yeah.
seems like if it's that close, it's just gonna add to the whole.
Yeah, depending on what they do. I mean,
Right.
it's just some, small.
Right, but I'm just thinking
Yeah.
another driveway and they could really,
Yeah. But again, that's the
I know
state's
it's not,
problem.
I know it's not ours.
And
but-
Mitchell is in Nottingham, right? Where it comes out? It
It-
must be. It's.
Mitchell runs into smoke, and then smoke comes out.
Oh,
across.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's
not
smoke
even-
across from
yeah.
Hall,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. But again, still in Nottingham, so, okay, so I'll let.
did you
know
want
how
to
we
look
do.
at this?
No, I mean, we're just to scope it out.
All right, all right, you want to get a,
Yeah,
you
you
want
want-
to go west. There's one of the circles right there.
Right.
Mitchell.
Yeah, Sutton is up, it's the one on the map.
So the proper, this
No,
is the
it's Lip-
property.
They call it Lipizan, which
Right.
isn't even on
It's
the map.
proposed.
Yeah, so again.
Yeah, no, it's.
You're saying they've done it in a few places there.
This is the lot we're talking. about.
Right,
And
right.
there's Warren Road right there where Raisdale Farm is.
And then
So it's a straight section of road.
Smoke Street is quite a ways.
It's not
Okay,
anywhere
so
that's,
it's not-
It's
Yeah.
a long ways away.
Yeah.
yeah, because people really get crank on the Route 4 in that area.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But it's also pretty wide. I'm sure they could
Yeah,
create a turns anyway. That's all highway. That's not us. So good. Okay, leave it at that. Let's see, old business. Yes, we have a number of new developments in the old business. The Richardson Pond Eco Study. I did just talk with Mark West, and we got a contract together. It's coming in just under 15,000, like we needed to. It's 14.8 is the current
That's
estimate.
coincidental.
He hadn't gotten a hold of Tim Stone, the hydrogeologist as yet, but he thought even if Tim can't do it, he knows a couple other people that he can get to do it. So, he seemed to think it was gonna work fine. So I submitted that to Connor, so it should be going to you guys, I guess, Monday. So get started on that. There's Young Road. We actually have quite a bit there.
Did you take notes?
A little bit, yeah, I actually took quite a lot of notes, but probably can't read them. There was a planning meeting, they came back, it had been continued for several months, I think.
Yeah,
But they did come back, and this is very engineering, doing the engineering. And generally, they just didn't see eye to eye, and they couldn't agree on anything. The main business that they needed, the new stuff they were presenting was what to do with the conservation land, the open space, because it's a conservation subdivision, they need to set aside a good chunk of it. And they actually, I thought, came up with a fairly good plan that they would give it to us, although, of course, that means we have to monitor it, keep track of it, but seemed better than a homeowner association. They actually split it into two different sections. I don't know if you can pull up the map. I know we don't have the link right there, but
yeah. I don't,
it's not a big deal. But what they did is they created a homeowner open space that's only open to the residents, just on the north side of where all the houses are, along Young Road, but actually along the wetland, the prime wetland, and then a little bit on the other side over by your brother's place, right? That wetland, and then all the stuff on the other side of the waterway. Yeah, it's okay.
Letters there, like mentioned a lot.
Yeah,
It's not that, what we were interested in was the current maps of the conservation areas that the conservation easements they're proposing, and I have to go back through the.
yeah. I mean, it's not that important, but just to give you an idea. So, and also the trail, the existing trail, and they want to continue having a trail going from Young Road to the Goodwill lands, that would be kept public, and that would be in the public easement. So that all made sense.
I assume people can access it, there's not going to be any parking there.
Oh, and they did, yes, they also proposed putting in a parking area for half a dozen cars. So
Was it 6? Was it that many?
yeah, I think so.
Oh, I thought it was smaller than that, but I was just looking at the drawing.
Kind of have to have a few.
Who's responsible
Turn
for the
around.
trail? Us?
Well, they said they would build a lot, but yeah, we'd probably have to maintain the trail. So, that part seemed okay, and I kind of gave that a thumbs up, although I said the part that's the private access, for the residential homeowners association, that's the area closest to the prime wetland, and it's certainly a concern. There's an even greater concern, of course, from the runoff that would be coming down the slope into the wetland through people's backyards. But certainly just people having stuff going on, in their backyards and having it go downhill or be blown down into the wetland, that could be a concern.
Like I voiced before, the water in your basement, did it come from Young Road or did it come up from the beaver dam behind your house?
But just in terms of monitoring it, that's always been our concern, is that a homeowner association is not going to be doing good monitoring, or nobody's going to be responsible for it. So it's a tragedy of the commons. So who knows what will happen with that? But more problematic, of course, is the continued concerns about runoff and potential pollution, in terms of the septics, and because it is all pretty steep terrain. There is still a question if they're over 100,000 square feet in total paved area, I guess.
Alteration of terrain.
They need a permit from the state for alteration of terrain. I don't know how difficult those are, but it would certainly slow down the process. So they weren't clear on whether that was going to be needed or not.
Last picture I saw, remember, was a whole bunch of long individual parking driveways, right?
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
long, very long, very steep.
Yeah.
Requiring.
They reduced the number. It was originally about 13, I think, and now it's down to 10.
Yeah.
But still 10 too many, or at least, quite a few. And almost everybody on the planning board had issues with that. And they're trying to say, look, you ought to build a proper road and have proper drainage plans. Because what they're saying is that, well, we're going to lay out the design and all, but the individual homeowners or their contractors are actually gonna build the driveways and have to deal with the runoff.
So they're saying they don't have responsibility for that.
Yeah, I remember when
That's-
they asked that question when they're here, and I'm just setting up the lots.
Right.
Yeah,
And the planning board does not seem to be buying that.
yeah, so it's,
But I think if you look at the map, if they were to put in what, I think this is one point he made, was a conservation subdivision is supposed to be on its own little road, so it would only be one access point. If they do that, it's really gonna cut down what they could put in there.
Right.
Because it's not that wide a parcel of land between the road and the
Yeah.
water.
The other fundamental issue here is, I mean, what they've done with their proposal for the conservation easements, given the layout that they've come up with, is good. But the problem is it still makes a travesty of the concept of a conservation subdivision. And that seems to be pretty generally accepted. I don't know what the planning board is going to do with that.
yeah. Well, there's a proposal for what we should do about it. Paul had put together his own comments. He didn't, said, these are my own, it's not the Conservation Commission. But Ken came up with almost the exact same comments and actually wants to go even further, I think. I don't know if you have that email you wrote up or saw it for the reference. I know you wrote it up because I read it, but it's a while ago if you're able. Anyway, Ken is proposing that we basically oppose the thing. And that we formally, obviously as a recommendation to the planning board. And that not only that, that if the developer wants to sue us over it, that we join the suit. Evidently, conservation commissions can do that. And that we submit a amicus brief, friend of the court. And obviously it would be the town doing the actual legal work, the suing. But that, we want to take it that far. And it may be that if that happens, then it'll back off or come up with a whole new plan. Yeah, so this is what Paul had come up with. So just to give you a sense of the type of language we're talking about, it would, that this plan that the current proposal just is unacceptable, doesn't meet the standards or the spirit certainly of the conservation subdivision design. And that we're going to stick by that. We don't have to decide that tonight because Ken obviously isn't here tonight. He's planning to be here in 2 weeks.
Anything that Ken had written.
No, he hadn't sent something to me.
Okay.
But I wanted to throw it out there. You can mull it over, and maybe you could send your thing around.
I'll
just for
send,
folks
yeah,
to look
I'll
at.
send this.
And I'll send what Ken wrote as well.
Okay.
But if folks have questions or comments about that at this point.
The only other thing that I would add is that one of the things that we had brought up a few months ago was that their environmental study did not include any investigation of vernal pools.
And that was brought up.
Yeah, Joyce Capiello brought up some shortcomings in the environmental survey, and I reiterated the issue of vernal pools, and they are going to do a study of that.
Well, at least they are requiring that.
Yeah.
And they didn't, I don't think he committed to doing it.
I don't know, he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, I suppose, if they want to go forward.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll act as treasurer. If I assume we're only going to enter in this suit if necessary, and the town's taking the lead on it.
Right.
And they're going to pay the legal costs.
That's my understanding,
I
but
can't imagine we'd be wasting our conservation funds.
No,
To fight it if the town's fighting it,
yeah,
And the town council was at the planning board meeting.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're dueling
No,
councils.
planning board. Which town council are you talking?
The attorney,
Oh, the counselor.
counselor.
Create a new body?
Yeah.
I remember voting on it.
Yeah, yeah, they brought out all they had the attorney and they had the town engineer.
It's a big deal when you bring out the.
And I didn't mention Barry has a lawyer, or
Right.
the owner of Thibodeau has a lawyer now too, so it was dueling attorneys. So that was interesting, but nothing got resolved, of course.
A lot of Latin flying back and forth.
Can I just mention, there was one other thing, I happened to be at that meeting, and along with the fact that they took the position that stormwater runoff design was not their purview, that would go to the homeowner, which I thought was an unusual position to take.
Mm-hmm.
But they also said, like, one of the fellows on the planning board, Andy, I think his name is.
Yeah. Former selectman.
Very well informed fellow, commanded the details, and he said, you know, the grade of these proposed lots is such that where you locate septic fields, the pump trucks can only pull like.
Oh, that was actually Brian Lenzi who brought that up.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, he commented
Yeah,
on the fellow
I'm
from
sure
the
Andy.
yeah. Anyway, it was, I just thought it was quite an interesting
Yeah.
from like, planning engineering standpoint that the pump trucks can only pull a 10-foot draw, and if the driveway is here and the septic field is already 10 feet down, then.
Yeah, the septic field is most likely going to be down from the house.
Right, right. And the developer was sort of like, well, you know, they'll sort that out after the fact.
Well, but he did finally, I guess, agree to look into it at least to figure out what the.
Did he? I'm not sure how that was resolved.
I thought they said they talked to some septic person just to find out what the actual needs are. And but yeah, it all sounds pretty sketchy. And
Now, not all the lots have the same mile slope.
no, but
The
quite
one
a
that's
few
farther
do.
north, they
Yeah.
really.
Brian went through the driveways and the slopes on each of the driveways, and it was not good.
It almost seems like if we were to submit a statement that we almost want to add in that, you know, there seem to greenlight this project with so many things that are not being addressed by the current project manager and that are being left to the subsequent builders and or owners. It's scary.
Yeah.
Something may sound a little better, but it seems like
Yeah,
we voice a concern and that we seem mostly to get not my job.
yeah. Well, like I said, the planning board is already there. And that's the one good thing is since we have cover that, you know, it's not just us saying it.
Well, yeah.
We're both saying it, and presumably the select board would probably go along with that argument. So, you know, that's, I think, the idea. It's all hypothetical, of course, as we don't know if they're gonna want to sue over it, but
Select board might not want to be starting up a suit.
maybe not. But again, they wouldn't be starting it. It would be a response.
So, Rob, how much is that decision? The select board or the
I mean,
planning?
the select board and the planning board tend to operate separate. So I don't know that we would.
Yeah,
be
it may
attached
be
to
the
all.
planning board,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
but again, it's if they reject it.
Yes,
Then
it's
it's up to
actually the
the
developer that files suit.
Right. Yeah.
And,
Assuming the planning board, you know, continues,
right.
which they seem to be pretty,
Well,
I
some,
mean, it was pretty unanimous. It's not like it's 3-2 or
they're
something.
very unhappy.
Well, it sounds like they're not coming. First of all, it seems like people keep coming back with questions, but they don't seem to be coming up with answers at the same pace. They're falling farther behind.
They disagree that these are real issues. They're claiming that these are not issues that they have to deal with, and the planning board isn't going through that.
Yeah.
Well, like I
The
said,
planning board can deny it, and in which case they take it to court and the courts decide.
I hate to greenlight this and then have them go to, I think you have to go to DES for in-ground septic systems. And DES looks and goes, you gotta be shitting me, not
Yeah.
this lot, you're not.
Right.
And then we got someone all pissed off because what they thought was a 6-digit housing lot can't be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it all goes back to, you know, the original design and getting the waivers and, you know, a lot of people are having misgivings about it. And of course, some of the things we just voted on, these zoning changes actually could affect the yield plan, all that too. Although I guess it's not retroactive,
No.
but if they were to redesign it, then it would be a whole new ball.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, that's
So
probably.
then they would
true.
apply, so.
Yeah, because
so
then the
that-
cost estimation and things like that would come into play.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, to be continued, so just kind of hold on to that. Yeah, Ann, did you have any questions or comments?
Well, I agree with the letter that you got.
got Okay, good.
I've been on Gmail so long, I've been used to not having it.
Yeah.
I remember the old days using an Outlook at work. You could create a list, give your name.
I need, but I need email addresses for all the people on this commission. Should that?
Oh, you just need that.
Yeah, that's all I need. I don't have them.
Oh, really?
I don't
Okay,
think
yeah, I guess we don't have a.
Yeah, I have yours because you send me.
But when Barbara sends out the agenda.
Yeah,
You'll get it from
they should
there.
all be there.
She sends it to
Yeah, they're,
everybody's on.
Line copy?
no, they don't.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
they
I'll
all
verify that.
It's a fairly small list, but yeah, you should have it.
Yeah,
So if you don't know that, you should somewhere. It took me a while to figure out. Yeah, they're all there. Okay, so hopefully there'll be a more formal proposal by next meeting, I guess. And I think we probably need to submit it or put something together before
Yeah.
April, whatever, the next planning board meeting.
yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the first Tuesday or the third, but
Were they continued until the next one? Or, I mean, they're not gonna have that environmental study done by then.
no, I can't imagine that'll be done. Yeah, so they, you know, it's entirely possible they may want to continue it. you
Yeah.
know, or
Yeah,
hold
right.
it.
They do have a habit of that at the, you know, sort of the last minute. saying,
But
"No,
we're
not
pretty
ready."
sure we don't need it before April. So
Right.
that's where it stands. Okay, well, enough for that for now. Gary, of course, isn't here. I guess I had an update on, I've been getting a lot of inquiries about the Schultz property that's now O'Neill. If you don't know, the new people who moved in there, their name is O'Neill. So I guess we should refer to it as Schultz / O'Neill or whatever. And so people were, as you might expect, a little confused between the private easement and the public easement. And I had explained that the trail is actually on private land, the Barrington Trail, but that we have a longstanding agreement to continue that, but it doesn't mean that anybody can wander all over their property. So people asked both about the meadow across the road, and also the supposed right of way through the middle of their property that goes over to the one off of, what's it, Brooks Road off of Green Hill Road, where the bridge used to be. You remember? So
Yeah,
you can't get
The
there.
road we would call Brewster Road Extension.
But people asked, is that, who's going to fix the bridge or what's supposed to happen to the bridge? And I think the latest storm probably washed the bridge aside or did something to it.
It was the December.
But I believe we'll be doing a monitoring next month or a couple months to take a closer look at it, I guess. But as far as I know, the new owners are not inclined to rebuild the bridge. So, and they don't even agree that it's public access either. So anyway, just to let you know, that's what's people are asking about.
They just took a bunch of trees down. in front of the
Yeah,
house.
and then they did a bunch of tree work. Not only, they took a bunch big pine trees in front of their house. I think they just want to open it up to more sunlight, or maybe they'll put in solar, who knows, but they want more sun.
And
They
don't
also
want
took
big
a whole
trees
lot
falling.
of small trees around the big meadow across the way. And the deal there is that they want to create a proper horse ring, which I guess it used to have a track around it way back. But they actually do dressage, so they need the space to do the jumps and
Yeah, so that's
all
an
that stuff.
agricultural use there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
It's nice to see horses.
yeah, we need to have horses back. They did say their horses, I guess, I don't know if it's a thing about dressage horses, but they're more temperamental than your average horse. And so they said they don't want people approaching their horses. And so their big concern was people not going into the meadow, which certainly when the horses are there. So they put up private property signs, which annoyed the neighbors. That was another inquiry I got.
Are they that obvious to the neighbors?
Well, I mean, they're quite, they're little teeny signs down on the road. They're not like the big no trespass. But they clearly, are trying to set a new regime. It used to be people just wandered through there whenever the
I
neighbors.
thought you were talking about on the trail.
No, not the trail. Yeah, this is the meadow itself. So anyway, if anybody asks about it, you can tell them that's as much as we know. As I said, they did also clear there's a lot of saplings, a lot of, you might expect a whole lot of little pine saplings that came up all around the meadow. And so they cleared a whole bunch of them, but they didn't mess with any of the big trees. I told them we might have an issue if they did that. I mean, it's forestry. They're allowed to cut a certain number of trees, but, obviously we don't want to cut right down to the waterfront there. But they seemed happy with the trail as it's laid out. So that's as far as I know at this point. So we'll find out more about monitoring next time. I think that's about it. We don't know anything more about
Not about the town forest.
Yeah, you guys, the lands committee hasn't met yet, or you have a question?
The town lands met,
Oh,
a couple Saturdays ago.
that's right. You weren't at the last meeting. So yeah, you should tell us what happened at that meeting.
Yeah, the town lands we met and did a walkabout. There's the lot by the old the Alliance truck business on 125.
Right.
So there's the land that abuts the Tamposi, and then there's like an 8-acre lot in front. It's very hilly in there, lots of trees. None of it's good for commercial. And so the recommendation ultimately is probably going to be to put it for conservation.
Yeah, it would be great.
The
If you recall, this was land that originally, or at least whatever, 12 years ago, was designated for a industrial park, actually. And they actually called it an eco-industrial park. The idea that you could actually do some.
Yeah, you can pave it over and still call it eco.
Yeah. Well,
Because no one could build anything there, so it was all going to still be forest.
well, and that's what obviously has happened, but they actually had a contract to regrade it,
Oh, really?
do major excavation, haul out like 100 truckloads of gravel out of there. When I looked at the contract, it was pretty, and it didn't pan out. And a local group in town, the folks that did the community rights ordinance that's never been tested, they threatened to sue actually, and I think that kind of put it on the back burner pretty quickly. I'm sure there were other reasons, but anyway, that's the history of the site.
So following that meeting, I mentioned it at the select board meeting, or updates, and Tracy Hardikoff had asked about putting solar on those kind of properties. And so I reiterated what the energy committee has said right along, that their priorities would remain, high productive options like rooftops, schools, and things like that. And that generally speaking, deforesting to put up solar is not considered a good thing. So, and she had suggested perhaps the energy committee and conservation committee and get together to kind of come up with the consensus on
A
where
statement.
solar might
Yeah, statement for the
about solar.
select board.
Yeah.
So we haven't talked about that as yet.
No.
Yeah, I
You've
didn't.
been a little busy.
We should,
Yeah.
we should get together with Jack and go over.
Yeah.
I'd like to put together, when we do that, some of the costs involved in, what the town would actually be paying for off-site versus
Yeah.
on-site.
Kind of like a solar strategic plan.
Yeah. But the general idea is that we don't prefer than knocking down forests. Obviously, there's a trade-off there.
Yeah, because we need power, but oxygen is nice too.
And we have plenty of lands that have already been terribly degraded, like gravel pits, for example. And that there's limits in terms of where you can even put a
Sure.
proper solar farm. It needs to be near what do they call it, 3-phase lines, basically.
I mean, I think
125.
that's why, she might have been interested in that particular parcel, because it's near the 125 corridor, but we should put together a strategic
Yeah.
plan for them, and I think it's a good idea.
I heard some of the land on Bumford might be coming available. Mainly the land that Russell was gonna build on.
Yeah, well, that's
can't
one
get
of the
one.
ones that was.
He's not gonna,
Apparently he told somebody he can't get the money to build this place, which I kind of thought was the case anyways.
Yeah.
take down his damn son.
But I think there was already some discussion about what to do with that gravel pit, right? That's the big.
Well, I mean, I've mentioned it to Steve Lindsay, but only in passing and not as a.
Yeah, no, it's not a proposal. But anyway, it makes sense that we have something already. There is actually an ordinance. Connor mentioned it, and actually it's because of another gravel pit, the one off of Green Hill Road, which is why the community rights ordinance originally got written, they were looking at putting in a solar farm, and then somebody in the town said, well, we need an ordinance. You know? So there is something there.
And it's very out of date. And
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it carefully.
Yeah, but it has some basic, you know, but obviously we want to.
Yeah, we should probably look at that and propose an update. to
Right.
that.
Yeah, given that we gave this to the one behind Caleb's. I know it was more
Yeah.
like, it was sort of like the Staples ones on roads, but
That's not a farm. It's
it's
just
not a farm, but it was a solar installation
right.
in
Right.
Barrington.
But that's, you know, private land. Obviously, we don't call the shots there. But what they're looking for, right, is on public lands or lands that the town might.
The solar
Purchase,
ordinance does affect private lands, and because
That's
it's.
right. That's right.
And things like that.
Yeah, they certainly have to meet those whenever those
Yeah,
are.
and don't put them up and blind your neighbors.
Right. Right. Yeah, so I guess it's more the energy committee than us, but obviously we want to have our say as far as the public lands. And
No, it's both, because it's the lands committee that was gonna be involved in looking at the lands that were being thought about. So, the technical part, yeah, it's gonna be.
But because we were talking about alternatively having that be conserved up against
Right.
Tambosi, that's why they wanted conservation to weigh in on that too.
Yeah, good idea.
and I didn't mention one of the other sticking points besides this little threat of a lawsuit was, which I don't think they were going to pursue it, but the other big issue was hydrogeology, because we looked at it and said, well, wait a minute, it's right next to the water supply. You know, that's what Satwasser means, right? The water supply protection area. And it's not clear how it would affect it, but clearly digging out 1 million tons of gravel for, you know, bedrock from there would certainly affect the water. And then downstream from it, or down gradient on the other side of the road, is the water supply for this mobile home park, Ambleside, I guess it's called now. And they were upset, of course, about anything that might affect them. So all that means that it's really makes much more sense as conservation land, and obviously being adjacent to, it's actually the largest Atlantic white cedar. We were just down in Satwasser the other day. The biggest ones, I don't know if it's a tall trees candidate, but there's some ones that are like this out there, and not far from that line. So that's
John.
The other parcel that we walked was on Tibbetts Road, the contaminations origination site
yeah,
for the contaminated land.
you're right.
And
Super fun.
yeah, and so there's a vacant lot there,
Right.
and so wanting to know what to do with it. Does
Yeah,
it
so that might be
Put a town pool in.
does it get split up and sold or given to the neighbors? Does it become a parking lot for the trails? Does it, what can we do with it? And then we got there, and actually there's more on the property than we realized. There's a garage, there's electric power going to it. There's all sorts of equipment still on the property and signs.
Well, the EPA hasn't signed off on it. They didn't delist it yet, did they? Or
Not sure. It seems like
good to know that.
still need access, right? So there's a lot of questions that the town lands needs to get answered through Connor first. We're asked to look at it, but anyway, there's more.
So
to
did
consider.
it go to the town? I mean, it is town.
It is town.
property. Yeah, I figured one guy went bankrupt.
Are the structures that are there old and dilapidated, or are they actually something that's being kept up?
The only structure is a garage, and it's just a single garage by itself, filled with just kind of equipment for water monitoring.
Yeah.
Huh.
But, you know, the deal was it was a toxic waste site, and they did this whole very extensive remediation where they planted all these poplar trees. There's like a whole grove of them. And I think a lot of them got removed. It doesn't seem like
There's still a
some
fair number of
there.
poplar.
Yeah.
It's the only tree on there. Otherwise, and it's grass, and someone's maintaining it.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's the neighbors or if there's still a company that's being paid to maintain it from Ford.
Yeah, it'd be good to know what the deal, especially if the town.
Maybe
knows
it's
that.
people from the water district. But
Yeah.
Can I just ask where this is?
Yeah, Tibbetts Road off of Hall Road.
Yep. There's a little trailhead to get onto the.
Yeah, that road. Yeah.
But that's the neighborhood where somebody dumped a bunch of waste from a Ford factory.
Yeah.
And contaminated all
50
the
years
water
ago.
supply.
Yeah.
And so there's like 100 homes there We do have a small public water supply in Barrington. That's got some wells over by Swains Lake, and it supplies like Barrington Shores Campground, the people on Tibbetts and Cedar Creek.
Few hundred people.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. And that was
he had
because of
Barrington
the threat
Shores,
of
it's
this
that number, yeah.
contamination. So it was a big project. They spent probably quite a few $1 million.
In remediation.
Yeah,
And helping put in the water system.
yeah, that
I
too.
see.
Yeah.
So they're the only people in town that their water comes in off the street.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we just recently, I think it's a done deal. It's not all concluded, but they doubled the size of the protection area for them, for where these wells are. So
Is it just irony that it happens to be adjacent to the watershed? No, the technology.
Yes, yes.
yeah, I mean, it's what happens in places like Barrington. People have a lot of land in their backyard and they just dump stuff. It's not, there's a dozen, I used to follow this stuff. I made a map of all, we have actually more Superfund sites per capita, than I think anywhere in the country, except
Barrington or the.
New Hampshire.
Oh, New
New
Hampshire.
Hampshire does, yeah. Except maybe New Jersey. They have like 100, but obviously it's a much bigger state. And their sites are probably larger too.
Well,
But we
that's
have
what
a
you see, you get rid of somewhere.
Yeah, and that's it. It's actually other states and the military. I have to say both the Navy and Air Force dump stuff.
Oh, right,
In
right.
fact, I'm officiating at a delisting for the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard next week. It's been on the Superfund list for 30 years or so. Just another thing I do. I was chairing the advisory committee on that. So they spent a whole lot of money cleaning that up. Another story.
Yeah.
But anyway, we want to make sure that it's being handled properly. So, but it's possible that could work I don't think it's nowhere near a big power line. So
No, well,
it
yeah,
was-
I think
It wasn't suggested for solar at all. It's,
the parking
but
lot
something.
proposal sounds to me like the parking lot from Satwasser sounds like a.
it's a little further down than the trailhead
Yeah.
than I thought. I thought it was closer. It's
Oh,
actually
really?
not.
Yeah.
So in looking at it, it's thought probably best there are 3 abutting properties, privately owned, and to see if any or all of those 3 would like to buy a portion of it. Just, but it's
never want my name on that land.
Yeah.
If the town says it's there, and if you people want to keep it pretty for your own use, maybe, but
yeah.
mow it.
The town would just like to get it off its books, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
which means they want someone to buy it and pay taxes on it. Yeah. That's sort of like, you go into a place, oh, it was here before. Oh, there was a gas station here for 50 years. Don't buy it.
Yeah.
That project down at the
Yeah.
Lee Traffic Circle, I hate to think what it cost them. That
Yeah.
first Starbucks, the water that they're getting cost them a fortune.
Yeah, and there's plenty of examples where they thought they had it all remediated, and then,
Yeah.
there's this thing called PFAS, and that's what's happening at the Coakley landfill, which is the Portsmouth landfill. There's always some additional liability there.
someone mentioned a dog park.
Yeah. If you need it,
Ideas get tossed around.
just don't let them dig.
Right.
Just,
Yeah.
I'm warning you, I know that Mark Moreau is talking about retiring, and you tell him that his crew's gonna pick up dog shit, he's retiring.
Yeah. I think that does it for old business, unless anybody can think of anything else they want to bring up. Anything talked a little bit about lands committee, anything else from trails committee?
We're doing a special hike. We're doing it on Monday, April 8th at 2:00. We're gonna go up atop the cliff and watch the eclipse.
Oh.
I got glasses. I'm gonna bring a viewer. I got a bunch of stories about how ancient civilizations did things like sacrifice people. How the Battle of Constantinople was lost because of eclipse.
The Stonehouse Pond up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be going out ahead of time to make sure it's dry. It usually is because you're going uphill.
It's drying out. Certainly.
Do
Okay,
you want to get on the hiking newsletter? Yeah. I'll see you at the end.
yeah.
Okay,
Good.
Because
Any
we're probably
other,
gonna be getting your
any
email.
other associations? Guess Isinglass is not meeting much. Okay, I guess that does it. Sightings? People seeing anything?
We've been seeing the flocks of grackles.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, we had them land in our neighborhood.
And they seem to be mixing in with red-winged
Yes.
blackbirds.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
No
that's
surprise.
They did
It's
that.
early
Yeah,
for
all the
red-winged
blackbirds kind of hang out together.
Oh.
I mean, when they're, and starlings are most known for it,
Yeah,
but
we
these seem to be
don't get
mostly
those up in our
grackles.
place.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
week on a long pond was, I was getting ready to go out to the hike. And I stepped out in my backyard in the south end of Long Pond. Loads of birds, never saw so many, all screaming their bloody heads
Yeah.
off. I almost thought I was Tippi Hedren.
Oh, it's
If I go out, are they gonna get me?
That was
So that
Never
was
saw
probably the same,
Yeah.
same group.
I don't know if they were pissed off because Air Force One was
They're
in the
just
area. or what.
loud. They're
No, they
really
just
loud.
do that, and they
Yeah.
poop everywhere too. So that's the problem. But, yeah, there've been some national news stories about them because I guess it happens every year. They tend to congregate this time of year.
But that was a sighting someone thought they saw. It was truly, one of the Air Force Ones was training at bees.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah,
It's a bird, sort of.
yeah.
The,
Sure, they, you know, go ahead.
avian influenza is really picking up again.
Mhm.
So the whole North Shore, of Massachusetts, waterfowl are dying,
Mhm.
Canada geese are dying, and now
Really?
for the first time, loons are dying from it. So,
Really?
That also could mean that egg prices could go nuts again
well, it's,
because it made it.
that hasn't changed so much on the commercial poultry nationwide, but just regionally for wild birds, it's become clearing up again.
Yeah.
But I remember back years ago, you told me that if it starts out with the nature, that it probably will
Oh,
make it to the.
Exactly, yeah, no, that does drive up the
And
eggs.
Because that's what pissed people off because they couldn't figure out why COVID was driving up egg prices. And
Mhm.
no, it wasn't COVID.
Yeah. As far as other waterfowl, we had about a dozen ducks on our pond. I think they were mostly mallards, but some might have been wood ducks. And I think I spotted another wood duck. They're around, getting active.
Lots of answers and
Did you
swings.
see?
I haven't seen, but buffleheads are,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and I believe I saw 2 roots out there. So,
Good.
I don't know if my skills are very good at identifying scat, but I'm pretty sure it was bear and bobcat I saw. So,
Yeah.
So the bear,
and
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have.
it was definitely bear, I know that.
take down.
Yeah, and I think the possum has returned and is making a nest under our chicken coop. They don't eat the chickens, but they love the eggs.
I saw some morning cloak butterflies
Oh,
this
yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
So they're really.
Yeah. Yeah, they actually overwinter. That's why they can come out this early. Yeah, I saw some yesterday too. You need to see. And did you have anything? Sightings?
Just goldfinches, the usual goldfinches.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I guess that does it then. See you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.
Bye-bye.